Conversation. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Conversation. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Conversation. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Conversation. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Drumming up, yeah. Conversation. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Drumming Up Conversation. I'm Justin Wood.
I'm Andrea Wood.
So, this is the first time we're recording an episode for video specifically too, with just the two of us, I believe, without doing like an intro and outro for a guest. So, bear with us if we start to look at each other and stuff like that.
It's so weird. Just face the camera and not
Yeah.
face you.
So just, be prepared for that in case we do that. Because when we do the audio version, when it's just her and I, we'll look at each other and talk to each other. So, if that happens, just know that we're just getting used to looking straight forward. And if we're looking down, we have our notes and stuff here. But right now we're doing the Cobra Kai episodes we've been waiting to do for like 7 years now. We wanted to wait until the series was over, but then we had some guests scheduled, so we needed to do that. Some great guests. One of them's you would have just heard this last week, which pertains to this.
For sure. Yeah.
Which was
And
Matt.
hopefully we get him to come back.
Yeah, there's an episode we're going to have him back on. I just need to reach out to him and everything. We're actually doing this the week before it comes out. So, but it was Matt Berlangi, pawn shop guy. So, that was a lot of fun. And learned a lot more about Matt and some things hopefully coming up soon that he might be getting back into that we actually talked about on.
So hopefully
episode.
Time allows for him to come back on.
Yeah. And make sure to follow us and find us and all of our socials and everything.
You can email us at drummingupconversation@gmail.com. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to your favorite music. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook,
podcasts,
and YouTube.
Yeah. Wherever you listen
Oh
to your
yeah,
podcast.
that's right. I need to change my notes a little bit.
Follow the band Temporal Displacement as well.
Yeah.
Because we're not. I'm gonna really start looking into how to do that as far as getting because we made a specific song for the podcast. I want to get that at the beginning of these. I just got to figure out how to do it. But now that I've gotten more comfortable with editing video and everything, and that's become a little easier for me, I'm going to really look into getting that at the beginning, and then it'll pop into us on video, and we'll go from there.
The other day on my drive home, my Spotify, I told you it was popping up a lot of live. And it was also popping up a lot of temporal displacement. So it was like temporal displacement live, temporal displacement live. It was funny.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, that was one thing that I was talking to J-Ro and all of a sudden live popped on.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny. I sent him a picture of it. I was like, hey, as we're talking about this popped on. He's like, that's weird, man. So, but so we're starting off with episode 1, which came out May 2nd of 2018 on YouTube Red, for those that remember that.
I remember that. It is non-existent.
It
anymore,
is,
correct?
yeah. I do not believe so. I think that's when they started going the more of like the TV kind of thing, or the cable kind of setup for that they have now.
Before we start off on that we've talked about it on the show. We are a huge Cobra Kai family. I have Eagle Fang. You have Johnny Lawrence.
Quiet.
We have our custom cups that Emily at A Cut Above made for us. They glow in the dark.
They do glow in the dark. Both
Very
sides.
cool.
One's Cobra Kai, one's Miyagi Fang, which technically is my Miyagi Fang because it has the eagle on it.
We have our family tattoos.
Yep, we have our family tattoos.
There we go.
Yep,
Cobra Kai never dies.
Yeah, and then we're gonna be getting the one
The
with Miyagi-Do with the eagle and all that
eagle,
soon. Go on the other side.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we're huge into this. This is our favorite show ever.
Ever.
Like anytime we're like, there's just nothing on. There's nothing. We'll pop it on.
And we see something new every time we watch it.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing.
Yeah, like with the one coming up in a couple weeks is one that I noticed something different on. So actually, no. It's actually this episode, so I can talk about it. Never mind. And we'll get to it. Something I noticed the other day, I just didn't write it down because we've already done our notes prior and started watching it again to start doing more. This episode was directed by John Hurwitz and Hayden Schlossberg. They are two of the writers. The other one is Josh, and the writers are Josh Hayden, Stacey Harmon, and Michael Smith. It was produced by a whole bunch of people, but I put in William Zabka and Ralph Macchio specifically. That was, I'm sure, a huge thing for them. And of course, the music was Leo Bierenberg and Zach Robinson. A lot of the cast for the first episode is obviously Ralph Macchio, William Zabka, Ralph Macchio playing Daniel LaRusso, William Zabka playing Johnny Lawrence, Courtney Hengler as Amanda LaRusso, Sheila Mariduena as Miguel Diaz, Tanner Buchanan as Robbie Keane, which he is not in this episode, but he does have credit on it.
That's funny.
Yeah. I even wrote that here. I didn't even remember I wrote that, but yeah. Mary Mauser is Samantha LaRusso.
Who is going to marry Tanner Buchanan?
Yeah, which we'll get into that later. Yeah. Joe So, I believe is how his last name is said, is Kyler Park. Annalisa Cochran as Yaz or Yasmin. Bo Mitchell as Brooks. Brett Ernst as Louis LaRusso. Ed Asner as Sid. Hannah Keppel as Moon. Dan Adut as Anush. Vaz Sanchez as Nestor, who's the convenience store guy. And Susan Gallagher as Lynn, the homeless lady. And did you want to go with how it starts? The episode starts?
So the episode's called Ace Degenerate.
Oh, yeah, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
It's on me.
And it opens actually with a recap of the end of the Karate Kid movie.
The 84 movie, yeah.
Which was Kreese in the parking lot.
No.
Oh, no, that's right. That's right.
It's none of that.
It's the
just the final
karate match.
Like the 0-0 where it starts.
Daniel
goes up to Daniel Russo 2-0, and then calls a timeout. He goes over to Kreese. Kreese tells him to sweep the leg, and you see Johnny going, "Wait, what? I don't want to cheat to win this." And then he ties it up, and then at that point he does do something to his leg. Which, any of you that are listening that have never seen The Karate Kid, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, the reason Daniel wasn't sure if he was going to fight is because he got his leg really, really hurt before that. So that's why the leg was a big deal. But go back and watch it if you've never seen it. It's 40 years old and still stands up today. It's probably one of the better 80s movies that stands up.
Maybe coming out to a theater near you.
No, that was already happening today.
Oh, it already happened.
Yeah, it was supposed to be this weekend. So I don't know. Yeah, I couldn't find it anywhere around here because I was going to say, let's just go do that Saturday.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then after that we did the crane kick to his face, and that's when we found out that actually that what they showed was alternate views from the original movie that were never shown, and they got to use them, which was really cool. So what you see at the very end was actually shot as well, originally in '84, to my knowledge, from what I've read and heard. So that was really cool. And then we fast forward to it's present day, but present day of 2018 essentially. Right. And so we go to Johnny's living rough.
He wakes up in his shitty apartment. He's unshaved. He looks like a slob. He has a Coors Banquet for breakfast and some fried bologna.
Yeah, and some fried bologna. Yeah.
It's weird to see that opening, knowing that he was a rich kid, quote unquote, in high school, to see what he turned into.
Yeah. And we've seen, like I said, we've seen this episode a lot of times, and we're going to do our best to not jump forward in episodes. And that's pretty much my plan. I want to treat this as we've just watched it for the first time, and everything else too, because we know how everything turns out, but we just want to talk about our love for the episode. And if we were doing this podcast back in 2018, we probably would have done these episode by episode as they came out, or at least season by season, and done them right away. But by the time we started this was already into season 4, I believe. We're like, once we found that out, like, might as well just wait till it's over at some point and do it then. So he gets into his car, which is a 80s, maybe 85 Firebird.
Yeah.
And he starts cranking Poison. Nothing but a good time.
He walks out of the apartment and he meets Miguel.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Jeez, I'm sorry.
And he mistakes Miguel for an immigrant.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Great, more immigrants." And then he calls him Menudo.
Yeah, listen, Menudo. Because he's giving him shit about putting the recycling in the right spot or whatever. Yeah.
And so that interaction did not go well, and Miguel was just left standing there in the parking lot, like, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for jumping in on that. Yeah, and then Poison plays.
Yes.
And it's a little quieter. He's just driving,
Tries to hit on the hot chick,
and she calls him a creep and runs off, and then he just really cranks it.
Which was like a blow to him because he used to be the hot guy.
Yeah, he used to be able to get all the girls,
all the chicks.
Yeah. So so we get to that. Then the Cobra Kai letters come up, and those are yellow, which that'll be a theme for the colors of the letters as we go, which you were not aware of until recently.
Yeah. Is it like a M. Night Shyamalan thing?
It kind of is like pivotal points when the colors change and stuff like that. So, which we can get into as we get in, because it doesn't change until episode 3.
Yeah.
So I don't want to talk about it too soon. We'll get to it.
Yellow signifies friendship.
Well, that, and I think yellow is the Cobra Kai main logo. Is yellow and black is their colors essentially. So. But yeah, so then he's cranking that, and then the next thing we jump to is he's cleaning like rich people houses. Like
he sees the LaRusso billboard.
Okay, jeez, I'm usually really good at this stuff.
Yeah.
All right, you take over then.
Okay, so he sees the billboard and he's not happy with that. That pisses him off. Okay. Then we see him.
Is that when he says another one?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. And then from there, it cuts to him cleaning gutters and doing the home improvement.
Which is an interesting transition because it's showing like LaRusso's now successful and rich and has everything.
Right, and Johnny
everything's flip-flopped.
Yeah.
And then, at that point, you show how like Daniel has like this car dealerships and they're not ruining it. Does LaRusso Auto. Yeah, he's got these huge billboards downtown, and they couldn't have been cheap just for the billboard itself. And then you show him cleaning people's gutters, and
he goes to the one lady's house and he hangs the TV on the wrong wall
across from the door, which it was, but just not the correct door apparently. Which, if you're going to be like that, and there's multiple doors in your house, you probably should specify. And he talks about how long it's going to take to get to the store. He's got to redo everything. He's got to fill the holes, and he's like, "I'll just do it tomorrow," and then.
She's like, I have company coming over. He's like, we'll figure it out. Just stop bitching.
He handled it really well.
He did.
Yeah, until he said, stop bitching at me. And she's like, what did you
call me?
Yeah. He's like, yeah. And then after that, we see him.
And he gets fired for it.
Well, we don't know. Well, the next scene is he's outside of his car talking on his phone. And he's talking about like, you're going to fire me? I just said she was bitching at me. I didn't call her a bitch. And then he's like, you're going to fire me because of that bitch?
Right, yeah.
Which is funny because now, better pay me what you owe me, Mike. Which, do you think Mike ever paid him? I don't think so.
Probably not.
I don't think so. Especially that I think when we get to what's coming up, he probably was like, I don't even care anymore. Because, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So
then from there, it cuts to it's nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes to the convenience store near his apartment, and he's getting a slice of pizza, which was really gross.
The whole scene was gross, yeah.
The cashier, Nestor, he has a bandage on his finger, and he just reaches in and grabs it out of the heating container, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just gross because he has no gloves on. He has a bandage on. Ugh.
Yeah, no, I agree. And he's holding it as he's getting stuff, and who knows? Yeah, it's just. I think
it's like this. He's like,
he's holding it. Like he's got the pizza in his hand, and he's holding it. Yeah, it's gross.
It's gross.
And I can mimic it a little bit here. He's just kind of like holding it like this, and he's reaching down and
completely over it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just gross. And then Menudo shows up.
I'm not above eating like convenience store food or whatever.
But it depends on how it's handled.
If you're handling it yourself.
We have a convenience store right near us that actually makes really good pizza.
Oh, QT makes phenomenal pizza.
Yeah. So we're not above it. It's just how it's handled.
Yeah.
Which I think was the point. It's like he's so low, he just doesn't even care. And, and then Menudo, Miguel shows up next to him. And he what does he say to him? He goes,
he walks in and he wants to know where the Pepto is. He's got to get Pepto for his yaya.
Yeah. And then after that, he said something to Johnny, and Johnny's like, didn't ask.
Yeah.
And then Nestor starts giving him.
Oh, because he says, I'm getting this for my grandma.
That's right. Didn't ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he Nestor starts speaking Spanish to Miguel, and he says, he goes, "Hey, what did he say?" And Miguel's like, "You don't want to know." He's like, "No, what did he say?" And he's like, "He said you have a tiny wang. Tell him he has a tiny wang." And he's like, "I speak English, asshole," which is great.
Yeah.
Which is great. Just how he doesn't connect that the guy can understand him.
Yeah.
But
so Johnny's out in the parking lot sitting on the curb eating his pizza.
This is when we run into our first recurring favorite character.
Yeah. And that's when homeless lady Lynn pops up and she's like,
You didn't leave. This
Yep.
is my spot, whatever.
Yep.
And he's like, "I'm not homeless. This is my car right there. You think I'm homeless?"
like his car's like something. Yeah. Yeah. That's my
It's
car.
It's my car right there. And then the next scene is you hear the bell of the convenience store. Oh no. Actually, as he's walking out, actually before even the pizza, before he sits down and eats the pizza, the boys pull up and they're,
which is
they're
Kyler,
Jeep,
Brooks, and
a couple other guys. One of them I found out was the stunt coordinator, one of the
that's
stunt guys in it,
crazy,
which is cool.
So young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he could have been doing both. Like, hey, I want to learn this trade, but I want to, who knows? I don't know. I'm trying to get him on, be fun. But yeah. So we meet all those goons, and then that's when Lynn says, "Get off my spot. This is my corner, or whatever." And then the next scene, is the door. You hear the doorbell of the convenience store, and all the kids that watch in kind of push him out, and he's got the Pepto, and I guess they were trying to buy beer, and Miguel kind of said that something. Yeah, I'd be curious what happened behind the scenes of that, because it's kind of vague. You kind of get the idea of what happened, but I like to kind of know how the interaction went, because if Miguel's new, how does he know them? Kind of a thing.
I wondered too.
Like, did he maybe
school hadn't started?
Yeah. Did he maybe know them?
Well, sometimes
maybe like last month of school, maybe he was there.
Or sometimes
before and they had the summer.
Like my school, when I started high school, we had like an orientation day where everybody went. And if you were an upper
I had those too.
You didn't really have to go because you knew the layout of the
junior, or I'm sorry, freshman and sophomore was real big on that. Yeah. Which makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know how they kind of knew each other, or that he would know that they go to school with him or something, or be something of, get one of the writers on or something we could ask. Like, hey, just what's the background on that first scene with Miguel and the kids, the bullies? So at that point, they come out and they're all bullying him, and then they see that he has Pepto-Bismol, and they call him diarrhea. They say, "Oh, he's got diarrhea."
And call him Rhea.
And that's what Brooks says.
Miguel's like, asshole.
Yeah, because they pour.
Wait, no,
that's right.
Asshole first.
Yeah, asshole first, and then what did you say, Rhea? And they pour Pepto-Bismol on him, and they start hitting him or pushing him around and messing with him, and then
they hit Johnny's car.
Well, no, then you see Johnny kind of peek around as he's eating, going, like, "I need to do something, but I don't want to get involved. This kid's already been, pestering me, and I really don't want to have to do this." But you could tell he wanted to do something. He just didn't. He wanted to, but didn't want to, which is great. That he doesn't say a word, but you can kind of see that. And then he's almost like waiting for an excuse to jump in.
Right.
And then they push him into Johnny's car. Now we got a problem, because that's his.
Hey,
that's
watch
his baby.
It. That's my car.
Yeah, that's my car.
And like Tyler,
one of them
say Tyler. Kyler doesn't care because
look at this bum
really
eating
expensive vehicle.
Yeah, Jeep.
Yeah,
and he goes, "Look at this bum eating pizza at a convenience store or whatever," and then Johnny gets involved.
Yeah,
and then he does a little roundhouse or a little crescent.
At first, Kyler's like, "Hey, I recognize you.
Oh yeah, you cleaned my dad's septic tank, whatever."
And Brooks is like, "That's why you smell like shit."
Yeah. And then Johnny gets involved, and then he does a little crescent kick, and you hear him go, "Oh!"
He kind of grabs his thigh,
which is great.
And the funny thing is, in the middle of that, he drops his pizza. And the next thing you see them cutting over.
Yeah, well, hold on, because they get in a fight, and Johnny pretty much takes all four of them out, and then they jump back to the homeless lady Lynn, and she's eating his pizza, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's just awesome. And so at that point, he starts whooping on all of them, and Miguel's just kind of standing there, and then they start getting back at Johnny and kind of getting upper hand on Johnny for a minute, and they get a hold. Kyler gets a hold of Johnny and puts him in like a chokehold real quick, and goes, "What's trouble? What's the matter? Having trouble breathing?" And then Johnny reverses
call
it.
him old man.
Yeah, I think something like that. Yeah. And then Johnny reverses it, puts him in a hold, and says, "What, you having trouble breathing?" And then at that point, cops show up, and he gets
Miguel's
pepper.
like,
Yeah,
it's not his fault.
it's not his fault. It's not his
was-
fault. And he
he
gets
was
pepper
helping me.
sprayed. Yeah. And yeah, so at that point, we go to the next morning, where Johnny gets out of jail essentially, and Miguel's waiting in the parking lot at the apartment complex for him. He's playing. He's on his phone or whatever, and as soon as he pulls up, he runs over to him and starts talking about,
what was
"Hey,
that?
what was that?" And he's like, "Was that kung fu or judo or whatever?" And he's like, "Karate, old school karate." And he starts asking if he could teach him, and he says,
"Beat it, kid.
Eat it, kid.
I'm not even sure.
I'm not
if
sure
we're supposed to be
around kids right now." And he just, just he goes, I'm broke. I need a job. He's like, "Well, why don't you open up a karate school?" He's like, "It's called a dojo." And no, I'm not even sure I'm supposed to be around kids right now. And then they separate. Johnny goes into his apartment, and
there's a lady
sitting there. TV's on. She asks if he has something. I don't remember what channel.
Encore. No, not Encore.
I don't know. Something.
Yeah.
Minor detail.
Yeah.
And then this is when we meet Sid.
He's rooting through his refrigerator.
Yeah, and this is where I want to go into a little bit of the Karate Kid movie. Of the great thing that movie did for Johnny was it was very, very vague on his upbringing and what he was living in, because it left so much open now that we can really get into how his growing up was and how
he ended up the way he ended up.
Exactly. So we find out that Sid is his stepdad, and he's
an asshole.
He is, but he's supposed to be, because that's what sets up the rest of the series. And he's going through his fridge, and he's like, you know what this reduction thing is? You got bad meat, kid. You got bad meat in your fridge. And he's just nitpicking everything he had. And he's like, "What are you doing here, Sid?" And he's like, "Oh, this coming from the guy who got put in jail, and I bailed you out, and this is the thanks I get for it, and this this is like the Applebee's situation, and bailed you out, and
so I didn't ask you to.
I didn't ask you to, Sid. I didn't ask you for anything."
I wonder how he knew Johnny was in jail.
Well, Johnny probably knows his lawyers, Sid's lawyers, I would assume. Probably called one of them, said, "Hey, because essentially, lawyer's the best way to go, because they can put the bail up, or they can find someone that can. Usually, that's who you want to call, is if you have a lawyer that call them. They'll figure it out." And that lawyer probably told Sid, and Sid bailed him out, and because Sid probably was always like, "Hey, I want to know anything, because I want to be able to use this as leverage on him."
Maybe, yeah.
Sid's a bully. You can tell right away. Sid's a bully.
Right.
So he's probably a bully. Someone that's always a bully is always looking for leverage, something they can hold against their victim.
Yeah.
And so that's probably what that was.
He asked him about Robbie.
Yeah. When was the last time you saw him? Yeah.
He makes really lewd comments about Johnny's mom.
Yeah.
Which was totally inappropriate.
Well,
but again, he's a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he's gonna do. And then finally he says he gives him a check, and he says, "What's this?" He's like, "I'm buying you out, kid."
I think your mom would even.
I think your mom would. I think I've been patient enough, but I think your mom would even understand in this situation.
Yeah.
And hands him a check.
Yeah.
And then right away, Johnny rips it up,
tosses
it. "I don't need your money, Sid," and throws it away. And
he's like, something along the line of, "I wanted a dad, but this was all you had to give."
Not quite. Yeah, more or less.
But like in a roundabout way.
In a roundabout way. And then at this point, Sid's just like, "You're just like the meat in your fridge." And then he starts talking to the lady about getting reservations at his favorite restaurant, and they leave.
Yeah.
And then this next part is, we're going to put a little disclaimer on there: don't drink and drive, children.
Don't drink and drive.
And so he pops in. He gets into his.
Well, he's watching Iron Eagle.
Oh, yeah. He's getting drunk. That's right.
Iron Eagle's his favorite movie.
That's right. Or one of.
Yeah.
That's right. And
And
then
then all of a sudden, the LaRusso auto.
he's getting kind of flashbacks
Yeah.
a little bit too
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
and everything. And then he's watching that, and it gets to where it goes to commercial, and it's just bright lights. And they don't show the TV right away; they show the lighting on
Yeah.
Johnny, which is really cool, and just loud, just LaRusso auto commercial.
Mhm.
And we get to see the first commercial, which is hilarious, where he's
Chopping
chopping and kicking and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And then at the very end of it, Johnny, he's trying to click out of it with the
And
remote. It's not working, and he's slamming it on the.
And he's drunk.
Then he's been drinking,
Yeah.
so he just chucks it at the TV, which
Breaks
was TV
his
number 1.
First TV.
Won't be the last.
Yeah.
Breaks his first one, and then this is
That's
when
when
he
he gets in his
pops
car.
in his car, and he's
Foreigner starts.
Foreigner. Yep, Head
Head
Games.
Games.
Great pick.
And then he's really having flashbacks as
And
he's
you
driving.
can see him swerving and
Yeah.
stuff, and he's having all the flashbacks
He has a flashback of Allie, and he's smiling.
Yeah.
And then he has a flashback of Allie and Daniel on
Yeah.
the beach
And they start-
or on the playground or the
the soccer
field.
Then
Kicking
he
around the
starts
ball.
hitting the steering wheel, and he gets all mad, and then then he pulls into the All Valley parking lot. And the gates closed, so he can't pull in all the way.
Looks like it's a not busy street at all.
Yeah,
Which
it's probably in like a corporate kind of where like a lot of like industrial or even like probably like government jobs, kind of like something like where you would work if there was more of a like
if I was working
like
at
the courthouse would be over there and stuff like
offices,
that. Like a lot of that kind of stuff. But he pulls in right in front of the gate. He gets out, and he's just having all these memories and flashbacks.
Throws the bottle
at the sign, and and then next thing you hear is
crash,
and some kids just ran right into his car.
Yep.
So he right away is like, what the hell, and runs over there and starts banging on the door. They scream and they run off. They drive off, and
because they think he's a homeless guy.
They just think he's nuts.
Yeah.
They're just like, what the hell? We didn't expect a car to just be parked there, and then now this guy's yelling at us. And so we flash forward. He gets in and tries to chase him down, and the car won't start.
Airbag deploys.
And then he hits it, and the airbag deploys. Yep. And next thing you see is a tow truck.
Mm-hmm.
Tow truck picks it up. It's all on the ramp and everything. And he's like, all right, well, you can pick up your car, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, where's it going? And he's like, it's on your paperwork. And then as the guy's driving away, he looks down and sees it's LaRusso Auto. And he's like, great.
Yeah.
So then we fast forward to the next day. He walks into the LaRusso dealership, puts his hoodie on, and we get to meet Brett Ernst, who is Louis LaRusso. And he's the first one we see of the auto salesman of that side of it. And then next, he's like, "Hey, what are you looking for?" And he just brushes by him. And then we meet Anush real quick. And then he just is, bypassing everyone to get to the service desk for the auto repairs. And says, "I'm here to pick up my car." And she's like, "Well, it just came in last night, so it's going to be a couple weeks." Like, "No, I want it towed to a different dealership." And we get the whole thing of like, "Are you sure? Because we know we have the best prices in town, and we chop." He's like, "Yeah, I've seen the commercial. I've seen it 100 times or whatever, or 1,000,000 times." And she gets up to go look, and then next thing you hear is
he's like,
Anush. Anush.
Oh, that's right.
Anush is talking to customers, and he's like, and since you guys are regulars and your family has been here a lot of times, Daniel wanted to come out, thank you personally. And Johnny hears that, and he's like, I need to get out of here before he sees me. Mm-hmm. So he just starts walking away.
I'll come back later.
And then I don't even think he says anything to her, does?
No, he says, I'll come back later.
Okay, I wasn't sure if she was there or not. I couldn't remember, because he just starts walking away. And as he's walking away, you hear Johnny, and
he's like, oh,
damn. And this is the first time.
Takes a deep breath and turns around.
And there's Daniel. And then they start reminiscing. He's like,
hey,
what
I thought I recognized those golden locks.
Yeah. And then he brings over, how's everything going, Johnny? And
Hugs him.
Yeah. And then he brings over Louis and Anush.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, and then they start talking about this.
This guy used to bust my balls.
Yeah, he used to, we go back a long way. And this is the guy that used to, push me off a cliff and all this other stuff. And he's like, oh, is this the guy that you
kicked
beat?
In the face?
No, is this the guy you beat in the tournament? It's like, yeah, I did. I kicked his face. And Johnny goes, it was an illegal kick. He's like, oh, illegal kick. Okay.
Mhm.
And then they start teasing, and he's like, all right, guys, back to work. And then he starts asking, what are you here for? And he's like, he doesn't really say much because at that point she walks up, she's like, he's wanting to get his car towed to a different dealership. And then
He's like, no, Tom Cole's gonna screw you.
he's like, that Tom Cole down the street, he's gonna screw you over. And he's like, let me see what I can do. And they start talking. He's like, no, man, I don't need. He's like, you know what? He looked at what it was and he's like, oh, let us do it for free. Like, my guys never worked on a car like this. They get in practice. It's a win-win. And then he does all this discounts and he says, and Johnny's just like, I don't want your charity, man.
Yeah.
He's like, well, the repairs are going to cost more than the car's worth.
He's like, seriously, Johnny, the repairs are more than it's worth.
And he talks about looking at a used car.
Want to hit the trade-in
lot or something. And he's like, no. He's like, and then he's like, and then you kind of know that Johnny's just, all right, you know what? I'll take it.
Yeah, he's like,
you know what?
He's just.
Well, that I think a part of Johnny too is like, you know what?
You kind of owe me.
If I can get you to like do something for me for free, maybe I feel like I am owed that from what I've been through ever since then.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he's still going to blame Daniel because that's who he lost to. That's what all this started from. And he's like, all right, you need it. Oh, he's like, hold on, and Johnny. Oh, and then this is the pivotal moment right here. Because Daniel's like, hold on a second, I'll be right back.
Right here, yeah.
And then we see his Daniel's daughter walk in and hug him, and it turns out if you've watched this, the girl in the back seat where he's banging on the window
when his car was hit
was Daniel's daughter,
and driving was Yasmin.
And Moon was
Moon.
Yeah. So he sees her and he's like, "You've got to be kidding me! Like, what are the odds?"
And she doesn't see Johnny.
Yeah, she doesn't see him, and then so Johnny's like, I'm out of here." And as he's leaving, you hear Dana go, "Johnny, wait, Johnny." And he's like, every customer gets their own bonsai tree. And every time since we've watched it, I'm like, it'd be really cool is if Alan Parsons' project Sirius would play right now because I know it's coming up.
Right.
And another great moment.
Yeah.
And so as he's leaving, he's like just disheveled and just like, this is crazy.
His shirt is stained. His jeans are ripped.
He's just like, I can't win.
Yeah.
He's like, the whole reason my car's even here is because of her.
Right.
Like, what the hell? Like, am I ever going to be, I can't escape the LaRussos. Yeah. They're always fucking me over. And so the music starts playing and he drops the bonsai
in the parking
lot and then walks
people
off.
Turn around looking like, what's this dude's problem?
Then then after that next scene is he's in the apartment complex and he sees Miguel and he goes, you want to learn karate? Oh no, actually he goes home and he dumps the trash out to dig up the check first. And then he asks Miguel if he wants to learn karate.
And Miguel asks, will you be my karate teacher?
And he goes, no, I'll be your sensei.
Yeah. That's where it ends.
Yep. Gets the check put back together. And how much do you think the check was?
I'm assuming $10,000.
That's what I think too. So, yeah. And then that's where the first episode ends. So you can kind of see where it's going from here with everything. But yeah, it was just a great episode. I mean, this right here, like usually with series that we watch, I'll be like, all right, I'll give it 3 episodes and we'll kind of see if we want to finish it. Like this was the one from
the beginning,
maybe the first 10 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I'm in. Like I'm in all the way to the end. Like this is awesome. Like very few shows can do this for me. The only other one,
first episode,
the only other ones I can think of is like Arrested Development, Gotham, and then especially like the Spartacus series that was on. That was even first episode.
Even
and I was
Sopranos, we had to get in like 3 episodes before, like, okay, we're invested in this.
Yeah, but this was just right out of the gate. And only like that 70s show, I guess, would be another one, but that's older. But yeah, very few actually get me from like the first episode. I'll usually take 2 or 3 to really get into it or know if I'm even going to like it and finish it.
Yeah.
But this was just everything because you can just see right away, like, oh shit, this has already like so many twists and turns, just linking everybody together. That it was just great. So great way to start it. We get to meet. You get to see that there's some comedy in it. There's a lot of drama. There's great music. I'm like, all right, cool. If this is where they're going with the music, like, I'm in. And I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the rest of the series lives up to all the music. Like it's. Even the score by Leo and Zach is awesome, but just the music they throw in that we grew up with, you and I,
Yeah, just, I mean, Head Games alone. when he's
just
out driving
perfect.
was just,
Yeah. And we talked,
what other song could you put there?
yeah, and we talked about that
With Peter.
with Peter about like what they were gonna use as the other song.
Mhm.
So if you want to go back and listen to that, please go back and listen to that episode.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about the music too. But yeah, thank you for joining us on this first part.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and we'll be releasing them 2 at a time for the first 5 seasons,
Mhm.
and then the last season we'll do 3 at a time because it's an odd number.
Yeah.
that it does. It just
Yeah.
makes sense to do it that way. So, but yeah, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we're gonna split these up. We're just gonna release them on the same day.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us,
Awesome.
everybody.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Drumming Up Conversation. I am Justin Wood.
I'm Andrea Wood. You can email us if you have any questions at drummingupconversation@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Drumming Up Conversation, and on X at Drum Conversing. If you're listening to the audio portion, you can find us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your favorite music and podcasts. Don't forget to like our episode, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating if you would, please.
Follow or watch the YouTube version
YouTube.
because we're getting more into the video now. Again, time permitting, I want to get a lot of our other ones out on YouTube as well that we did in the past. I just, for one, we're going to reach out to them and ask if that's okay first because originally it was just audio, so I just want to make sure. I'm sure everyone will be fine with it, but we're those ones that want to make sure. I know there's always the easier to ask for forgiveness than permission, but I want to ask permission. If they say no, it's fine. We still have the episode on audio. I'm happy with that. Yeah, again, we're doing this 2 at a time for the seasons 1 through 5. And we're wearing our same shirts a lot of times. We do have a lot of other stuff too we can wear, but if we're showing up a lot in the same ones because we want to keep this thematic, eventually we'll probably bring our Cobra Kai flag and put it in the background because I meant to do that and just forgot today.
Sure.
But we'll probably have that in the future. And that first one was, just kind of getting just our bearings straight on it as far as talking and how it went. And as you can hear, the dog is doing something, so you might hear her from every once in a while too.
She was completely quiet.
The first episode she did great. I forgot she was in here. I thought we left her outside. So bear with us on that, and we'll definitely talk more about how we feel and our theories and stuff like that as we go along. We're just getting the character development and the story development and all that in the first episode, maybe the first 2 episodes. There's a little bit more into this one than the last one. The last one was getting like all the parallels to how everything was going and how everything lined up as far as like Johnny didn't want to teach a student, and then he does karate, and then Daniel and his daughter and everything else. We'll get more into the kids in this episode, which is a lot of fun too. Some new characters are in this one. This one is called Strike First is the title. It is Yellow Letters again. It came out May 2nd of 18. Like I said, all the first 10 did on YouTube Red. And yeah, so we'll go ahead and get into the director was Hurwitz and Schlossberg, produced by John Josh Hayden, Ralph Macchio, William Zabka. The writers were John Josh Hayden, Robert Kamen, and Michael Smith. Music was Leo Bierenberg and Zach Robinson again. And the cast is Ralph Macchio again as Daniel LaRusso, William Zabka as Johnny Lawrence, Courtney Hengeler as Amanda LaRusso, Shola Mariduena as Miguel Diaz, Tanner Buchanan as Robbie Keene, Mary Mauser as Samantha LaRusso, Joe So as Kyler Park, Annalisa Cochran as Yasmin, and Bo Mitchell as Brooks. And then now we're getting into the ones that weren't in the first episode, which actually Tanner wasn't either, but he was in the credits. Gianni DeCenzo as Dimitri, Jacob Bertrand as Eli Moskowitz, and then actually I had Hannah Keppel down here. She was in the first one, very briefly. Griffin Santo Pietro is the Bratty. I put him as Bratty Anthony LaRusso, and Nicole Brown as Aisha Robinson. And we'll go ahead and get into the more basic parts of
the
it.
show.
Yep, here's the star of the show. Bill's favorite of all of us.
Yep.
I kid, but I don't kid.
Grenache, pick a spot.
Pick a spot, baby. Say hi to Bill. Hi, Bill. Hi, audience. I'm Grenache. So thanks for waiting until the second episode to do this. We appreciate it. So yeah, thank you for doing that. Are you having fun? Can we get started on the episode? All right, so this one starts off right away with music, and it's
Yes.
Dean Martin's "Kick in the Head,"
Kick in the head.
which is great. As we go along with the song, it makes more sense. This is one of those. This Daniel's just cocky and having a great day, and everything's
Wakes
just
up.
going.
He's
Wakes
got a
up and
perfect life, a perfect marriage, a perfect family. He's sipping his cappuccino from his or his espresso from his expensive espresso machine.
yep,
A fancy house.
fancy, yeah, and yeah, because it's the first time we see the house.
Mm-hmm. Fancy suit.
Gets in,
His
gets
wife
driving and
dressed in a nice dress. The kids are dressed really well.
everyone's doing great.
Yeah.
And going to school, all that stuff, everything's great. Thank you. This is very comfortable.
Backrest.
Yeah, actually, it feels pretty good.
A heated backrest.
Yeah, I think that's what she's wanting. She probably got cold.
Maybe.
And so he's going to work. He spins around. He's high fiving everyone, and this and that. And then you kind of see him going through the day, and then he's leaving. He gets in his car. He's heading home from work. He's driving home. He looks in this strip mall, and he sees something he does not expect to see,
and that he does not like.
And it's right as the song's coming to an end, just like a kick in the head, he sees Cobra Kai.
Yep.
And he does like a double take, and he's like,
the color just drains from his face.
Yeah. And then we go into the Cobra Kai dojo, and Johnny and Miguel are standing across from each other, and finally Miguel starts asking him something. So am I supposed to quiet? And we get our very first quiet.
Yep.
And he's said, he talks to him about, he's like, sir, he calls him sir. He's like, no, you call me sensei. And he says, when do I get my own karate pajamas? Not pajamas, this is a gi, and you'll get one when you've earned it. And at that point, Johnny more or less just takes Miguel to the ground.
To the mat, yeah.
And right away, we're jumping right into the fire. And then Miguel gets up, and then Johnny starts circling him. He goes, here and on the streets, a man confronts you. He's the enemy. An enemy deserves no mercy. What is the problem, Mr. Diaz? And
meanwhile, he
has an inhaler. He goes, I have
asthma.
I have asthma. And Johnny takes it and chucks it across, and it breaks. And he goes, not anymore. And he goes, you can get rid of all those peanut allergies and all that other made up bullshit. And he's like, those are real things, sensei. So we go through this whole thing with Johnny. He's just going with what he knows. He doesn't have his own style yet. He's going off of what he was taught.
He's
kind of learning as he goes too, but he's acting like he knows what he's doing.
And he's telling Miguel about how he was at his age, that he was partying. There's hot girls. Miguel says he's never even been to a party.
Big surprise. Yeah.
And then he tells Miguel to do 50 push-ups on his knuckles.
Yeah. And then at that point, the inspector walks in, right? Yeah. He walks in, he goes, oh, hey, you here to lose a few pounds, lose that gut? And he's like, no, I'm not. And he's like, I'm the inspector. And he's like, he's like, so he starts asking questions about like why he's there. He's like, oh, is this what I need to do to get the insurance? Like, no, this is what you need to do to get the insurance to open. He's like, you're not supposed to be open yet, and all that other stuff. And he's like, is this one of your customers? He's like, nope, this is an illegal I picked up. He's helping me. He's like, I don't need to know any of that. I'm just here to make sure everything. And he starts talking about how much work's going to be needed just to open. And he gives him all the, goes over everything with him. And then he's on his way out, and he goes, oh, cool rattlesnake. And you hear Johnny goes, it's a cobra. It's like, oh yeah, duh, such an idiot. Cobra Kai. And he's like, and Johnny just looks down and all that. So, and then at this point, I believe we get into the Encino Oaks Club, right? And this is where we bear with us, folks. This is where we meet Bratty Anthony. And actually, is this the first time we meet Amanda?
Yes,
it is.
Yeah,
that's right. She wasn't really in the first episode either. That's right. And we meet Amanda as well, and Daniel's talking with Anthony. He's like wants a drink, and he's like, well, there's a bar right over there. Let's go get you. So he's like, nah, I'm good. He's playing his video game and stuff, and Daniel, you can tell, is getting frustrated with him just being lazy and a jerk, and he kind of showing that like this is what happens when you give a kid all this stuff.
A very privileged, entitled kid.
Yeah, and he's young and just doesn't know any better. Come on, Grenache.
Still a puppy.
So he gets up and he gets with Amanda, and they order a couple martinis, ice cold, which she says, not him.
Yeah. But and on a side note, we just had this discussion that on so many TV shows and movies, everybody's drinking martinis. But whenever we go out, no one's ever ordering martinis. And we've tried martinis. They're horrible.
I didn't like it. Yeah. I've never had one professionally made. Right. I've just made it myself. So maybe that's the difference. But I've also, I've never been anywhere where someone's just ordered one.
Yeah.
I think, and like I said, I think it's an easy thing for them to fake for a drink on TV, because they could essentially put water in it and a couple olives, and you're like, oh, it's a martini. And then it's just, olive water. It's probably not the best.
Olive water might even be better than martini.
Maybe, but I think that's another reason why too. It's always known as more of a fancy drink, and it's easy probably to fake, because once you put the olives in, it looks like there's not just water, and it looks like more alcohol, and easy to just kind of get through a shoot that could take a couple hours. You don't want everyone be drinking gin or vodka for 2 hours doing episodes, probably.
And then they're talking to Aisha. She's like, where's Sam all summer?
Yeah. And like, oh, she's staying with her grandma. She's at her grandma's house right now, and because they're just making it up, because we know that Sam has new friends, as we learn in the first episode, in the car and all that. And so at that point,
Amanda didn't want to hurt
her feelings. And then we hear Braddy Anthony yell out, "Hey, where's my drink?" And he's like, I'm gonna throw that goddamn kid in the pool.
Yep.
And then she's like, "What's wrong?" And Amanda asks, "What's wrong with him?" He's like, I'm just a little rattled. He talks about the whole thing about seeing Cobra Kai in the strip mall, and she's like, "Oh, that pretty boy blonde or whatever." He's like, "I don't remember ever saying he was pretty."
Right.
And you kind of, so then that she makes it worse,
right?
Because now he's like, "What the hell does that mean?" Because and then that's where we find out that he's talked about fixing his car and everything else, and this kind of shows that like the 2 weeks has gone by for the car getting fixed, if it even took that long. You probably want to get it done and get the hell out of there,
right?
But because Johnny has the car back, so we've kind of figured out, okay, and that makes sense that he puts the money towards the building, and that takes probably a week just to do on its own, just to get that all approved and get that and get the signage up and everything else. So that's a really quick way of them saying the 2 weeks has gone by, or about that much time has gone by, without actually making us feel stupid and
2 weeks later
throwing it down our throats that we can't figure it out on our own. And I appreciate the writers for doing that. Like we're confident that our viewers are going to be smart enough to figure out that this much time has gone by, and you can kind of figure it out that, oh, the car's fixed, he's got it back. So now we're at 2 weeks, and we also know that the strip mall is pretty close to where he lives, so he could probably walk there if he needed to get all the stuff taken care of and ahead of time while he's waiting on his car to get done. And so she's asking why he's so distraught, and just he explains to her that she doesn't understand like what this triggered for him and everything else, and they decided that they're just going to go home, that he just doesn't want to be there. So then we get to their house and their pool, right? Isn't that the next
Well,
scene?
no. Then it cuts over to Miguel's cleaning the dojo.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
I am so sorry.
He asks Johnny if there's any special way that he wants him to clean.
He's like,
because of the parallel of Karate Kid, where Mr. Miyagi had certain chores.
Yeah.
And this is the way you do it. You up and down, side to side.
And I'll bring this up because, I mean, I had already figured it out by this point anyway. We were watching that Miguel is kind of Daniel.
Yes.
And Johnny is kind of Miyagi.
Yeah. And Johnny goes, "Nah, I don't give a shit."
That's right. And he's like,
and And then Miguel's phone rings,
Yeah,
and it's like a pop song.
No, was he cleaning the window at this time? I don't think he was cleaning the floor.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
That's
think
just
that's
what I
later.
have.
Yeah,
But no, I have Miguel's phone rings, and it has like a pop song, and
who
Johnny
knows?
asks,
What the hell's where's
what
that
the-
crap coming
yeah.
from? Where's that noise
and
coming
then
from?
it's his mom, and
He's talking
like,
about debate club.
"Mhm. Yeah,
And he's
debate
like,
club's running late.
yeah, he's like, oh, is that your girlfriend? He's like, no, it's
No,
my
my
mom.
mom.
I haven't told her that she doesn't approve of violence, so I haven't told her that I'm doing this. And
And he's like, and change that
change that
ringtone.
ringtone to some
Get
Guns
some
N'
Guns N'
Roses or
Roses.
something.
He's like,
He's
what's Guns N' Roses? He's like, I'm gonna
pretend you never
didn't
say
said
that. Yeah,
And then they cut over to Sam
to the
and
pool. Yeah.
So meanwhile, back at the LaRusso house, Sam is having a party.
And this is where we'll have a good debate,
Mhm.
or not debate because we agree,
Right.
but conversation beside what they show us.
And that's when she learns that Kyler likes her.
And there's a bunch of kids there. They're all parked in the driveway and blocking everything. And Daniel,
the pool area is kind of a disaster. The pool toys are everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they drive up, and Daniel's like, "What the hell is all this?" And they're filming kids flipping off of the diving board, and just first thing I think of is, great. Here's a insurance situation
for sure.
Someone gets hurt, you know, they're diving off there, and Daniel walks up and he's like, "What the hell's going on?" As Moon's filming, and she gets him on the camera. She's like, "Oh shit!" And he's like, "All right, everyone out." And he's like, "Is everyone wearing my trunks?" Why do you need so many swim trunks? That was the first thing that went through my head.
Which shows an excess of wealth.
Yeah.
Because he had all these.
And then one of them starts taking the swim. He's like, not here, idiot, in the pool house, whatever. It's like, oh, they got a pool house. That shows another,
right.
And I love the subtlety of them, like him just like throwing these things out that he never grew up with, and now he has all this lingo of like rich lingo, and because now he has money.
The apartment Daniel grew up in, the pool was never filled.
Yeah. And now he's got a pool house and 10 sets of trunks and all this other stuff. And
right.
Yeah, so it's just more establishing that in just the dynamic shift now to what it used to be.
Yeah.
And everyone leaves, and that Brooks kid comes out and just makes some stupid comment.
And Amanda is siding on
the kids'
side.
She's
like, don't
with
embarrass
Sam.
her.
Yeah, you embarrassed her. You overreacted. And he's like, I did not overreact.
Part of the cool kids.
You don't understand what it's like to be a nerd, and Daniel liked it when she was hanging out with Aisha because she was more responsible and didn't have this group of kids, and he doesn't like the new group of kids she's with.
And that's when Daniel mentions, don't forget, those are the type of kids that threw me down a cliff when I was a teenager.
Yeah. And so she thinks he overreacted. I personally think he underreacted. I think I would have been so much worse with that. I'd have grounded her. I'd have said, all you friends can come over, but we want to be here when they're here.
Yeah, we want to know ahead of time.
Because I don't want to pull up some kids doing a flip, bonks his head on the fucking pool, and now we're responsible for it.
Kids are going in and out of their house.
Yeah.
Okay, now, when I was a kid and I was a teenager, there was kids coming in and out of my house all the time.
But the parents knew who the kids were.
My parents knew. My mom was always there because she didn't work. And we were there also, and they didn't have an issue with it because they were aware of it.
Yeah. So I definitely don't think that he was being overreactive at all. But then afterward, we get to where she's talking to her friends on the computer about, and Yaz needs to be picked up because her car's in the shop after hitting that deer. And then Moon's out of her mind. She's like, I don't remember you hitting a deer. And she's like, I didn't hit a deer, you idiot. It was that
homeless guy,
that zombie,
something
zombie. God damn it, I should have written it down.
Yeah.
That tweaked out zombie or whatever it was that she says, and she's like, oh yeah. And that's when Sam says, yeah, I'll pick you up tomorrow, because she knows that she's gonna be able to, because her dad's gonna have to apologize to her, which he does, which I don't think he should have. I would have taken the car from her and said, no, you're not picking your friend up. Nope, this is what you get for not telling us what you're doing and trying to hide it. And all you have to do, we would have said, yes, that's fine. And so that's how that kind of goes back to the first episode and finding out that her car is still in the shop, whereas Johnny has his back already.
Right.
Which, that was a win for Johnny, I think. That at least the people that hit him, they still don't have their car and she can't have her freedom because she's being stupid.
Yeah.
So that was another thing that went through my mind as far as not being told, but you can go, okay, yeah, good. She deserves to still have her car in the shop. So yeah.
And at the same time, Daniel goes out and cleans up the pool area.
Yeah.
And he starts reminiscing about everything that's in the, I guess, is that the pool room or is that just like an extra storage room?
I think it's an extra storage room.
Yeah,
I think it's near the pool.
Yeah.
Everyone can get stuff pretty easily.
And he's reminiscing because there's Mr. Miyagi stuff in there and he's reminiscing about that. But
which kind of foreshadows, some stuff as far as like that seeing Cobra Kai rehashed his karate involvement and then doing that with all of her friends, and he's not liking where she's going with reminding him of the bullies that he had to deal with and all the rich kids he had to deal with, and he's like, I'm cleaning up after these fuckers again. Like I have to do this all over again. I've already seen the Cobra Kai thing, which rehashed all that. Now I'm doing this, and then he sees Miyagi, and
and then eventually Sam apologizes, and then Daniel's asking her if she likes any of the boys that came over, and she's like, well, there's this guy, we've kind of been texting, his name's Kyler.
Just words, right?
Texting. Just words, right?
And she's like,
oh,
ew, gross, Dad. Yeah, just words. Ugh. Yeah.
And he's like, why don't you invite Tyler over for LaRusso family dinner Friday?
Did you say Tyler or Kyler?
Kyler.
Okay.
I keep writing down Tyler. Kyler. Yeah. And he tells her to invite him to dinner. And she's like, to LaRusso family Friday night. And he's like, I'm not asking
you to walk down the aisle with him. I'm just giving the kid a meal.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into that soon too. And then we cut to Miguel's first day of school, right? Or I guess first day or the first time we're seeing him at school. We'll go with that because it seems like some stuff was established already. Maybe
he walks into the cafeteria and he's looking around and
looking for a place to sit, and then he sees these two kids being really quiet sitting, and he's like, is the seat taken? And they're like, yeah, actually it's really blowing up now, but we can probably get you in next semester maybe. And he's like, and then he takes him seriously. He's like, no, I'm kidding. He's like, no, you can have a seat. And he's like, no, just know that you just
sealed
your fate for pretty much for like being a cool kid and me, having a girlfriend and all that stuff. And who he talks to is Dimitri and Eli.
Yes.
And
then all of a sudden, here come the girls.
Yeah, the girls walk in, and
it's Yaz, Sam,
Moon, and Sam. Yeah. And Dimitri makes a thing about like, about like I would kill myself just for her to spit in my face. Yeah. And he's like talking about these are the girls and all this other stuff.
They're the rich girls. They're the mean girls.
Yeah. And it says just because they're rich doesn't mean they're mean.
And they laugh.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Yaz is staring down Eli.
He's like, oh my God, look at that sweater. That's the ugliest sweater I've ever seen. It looks like he went down on a lawnmower or something. He's covering his mouth.
Because she's talking about.
And that's as you're saying, just because they're hot doesn't mean they're mean.
Right.
And she's making these comments proving that, yes, they are. And he goes, yeah, once, have you ever talked to him? And he's like, oh yeah, we talk all the time. We go out behind the bleachers and give each other hand jobs.
Eli's the king, and Eli's smirking. Yeah. But Eli never says anything.
He does not.
And so
he's a man of many words. So as we've established that Dimitri's very sarcastic and quick-witted and all that stuff, and you can tell he's kind of been beaten down, but takes the joking approach to it, whereas Eli takes the silent approach to it. You can just see that dynamic.
And all of a sudden, Miguel stands up.
Well, he's like, he stands up and he's like, oh no, I hope we don't get hit with the shrapnel. He starts walking towards them, and as soon as he goes to approach them, Kyler and Rux sit down.
Yeah.
And Kyler gives him a little wave like this, and this is one of the greatest times of of the series. Very sarcastic, and I love great
When Miguel
sarcasm.
walks
When
back to
Miguel
the
walks
table.
back, Dimitri goes, "So, how'd it
go?"
go?"
Yeah. And then Aisha comes in and sits at the table next to the rich girls. And she leans over and she's talking about Halloween costumes with Sam. Oh, this year we can go as this and this. And that's when she's like, well, I'm going to be a Laker girl with them. And
Yeah.
and Yaz leans over and she's like, it's one size fits all costumes.
But
And
suddenly that
Yeah.
seems like false advertisement.
and
Yeah.
picking on
Again,
Aisha.
just because they're hot doesn't mean they're mean, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, and then, what do you have after that?
Then they're back at the dojo and Johnny starts showing Miguel how to hit on the broccoli.
the dummy, yeah.
And then that's when Johnny gets a call from from Principal Jenkins. And she says that his son, Robbie, was found with Molly,
Mm-hmm.
which we all know.
He's like, who's Molly?
Molly's a street drug, but
Yeah.
he
he just doesn't know.
Yeah, he's like,
why would he know that?
Who's Molly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Molly's a drug.
Yeah.
He's like, put my kid on the phone.
And they have a horrible relationship.
Horrible.
Yeah.
This is where we first meet Robbie.
Yeah.
Even though he was in the first season or first episode
Mhm.
credits. And I think, and I realized why he is, which we'll get into later, but it's on the fridge.
Yes. Yeah.
We'll get into that later, but it has to do with the fridge.
Yeah.
So when Sid opens the fridge in the first episode.
So Daniel has a horrible conversation with Robbie. The principal gets back on the phone. She's like, I think I will try calling his mom again. He's
Good
like,
luck with
I
that.
think that's a good idea. Good luck with that.
Yeah. So now we go back to where he's coming back into the dojo with Miguel. And Miguel is just he punches it and leans forward, and he just does not know what it's when the cat leaves the room, the mice will play kind of thing, and he's just whatever, he doesn't care. And so he comes back, and now Johnny's pissed off, and he uses that towards Miguel, and he goes, now we really start getting into the karate teaching. That triggered Johnny. And to me, this is the whole Daniel is Miguel and Johnny is Miyagi, because now this is when Johnny as Miyagi starts going, you know what? That's my kid. I failed with him. We don't have a good relationship. So now I want to build one with this kid. And that's where you kind of see that dynamic change. And he starts like going, okay, well, pretend this is like your bully, and this is, I want you to hit. I don't want you to hit him. I want you to hit. You're the asshole you want to hit is behind this asshole. I want you to
punch through him.
And then he really just starts, and he goes visualize, and he visualizes Kyler.
Yeah.
And then I love this edit too, which we'll get into in a second. But he starts beating the shit out of this dummy, and then you start seeing Kyler's face pop up, and he does this little wave thing, and he's beating the hell of it. And then as he's doing that, we edit to Kyler's at the LaRusso house at the table. And I love that edit, because it's like you see
one thing always leads into another thing.
Yeah, that, you see Kyler at his worst, but then the next thing is Kyler trying to behave and be something completely different. And to me, I took that as Two-Face. It's the mask. So we got the real Kyler and we got the mask Kyler at the LaRusso table, because he's being very polite and thanks for having me over. You have a beautiful house and all this stuff. And this is, oh my God, I hate this part. And if you want to talk about it, you can.
That's when they're having dinner and Daniel's presenting the whole dinner. He has this beautiful piece of,
I would have loved this,
raw fish. Was it
unagi?
Unagi.
Oh, tuna. Tuna, sorry.
And he has his unagi bod, which was his knife. And
it was Miyagi's.
He got it in his first trip to
Okinawa. Yeah.
Yes.
With Miyagi. Yeah.
And so he's telling this beautiful story. He's slicing this sashimi, right? Sashimi
yes.
And putting the ponzu on it. And he's like, this is the famous LaRusso
ponzu Toro.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't write that down. That's from memory, folks.
Now, anyone that likes sushi knows this stuff is very expensive.
And we'll get to that later.
And this kid looks at the plate presented to him and he's like, I don't like fish.
And then Sam speaks up.
You like fish sticks?
You like fish sticks? Oh, I love fish sticks. Yeah.
They're the bomb.
Yeah. And it's like, oh my God.
And Amanda says, "It's okay. Let's just go look in the kitchen.
Let's see what else we can find to make
See
you.
what we could feed Tyler."
And then
Tyler.
this is, and then this is when it's just Daniel and Kyler. And he's talking about like, it's okay. I didn't like sushi at first either. And it's making him feel good. And he's like, you're like, what happened to your eye or whatever? He's like, oh, yeah.
His hands.
No, his eye first.
Oh, okay.
Where'd you get the black eye?
Oh, yeah, wrestling.
He's like, oh, wrestling. I turned
And-
one way and caught an elbow. And it's like, is that how you hurt your hand?
Yeah.
It's like, and then he kind of does this and he kind of puts his hands away. And he's like, it's okay. I had my fair share of fights when I was in high school too.
First he's like, are you okay at home?
Well, no. He's like, no, it didn't happen at school.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, is everything okay at home? It's like, oh yeah, everything's fine. No, I got into me and my friends were at the convenience store to get protein bars.
Because you can't tell Daniel they were
trying to get beer. And he's like, oh, okay. He's like, and some guy just jumped us in the parking lot, outside the mini mart.
All of a sudden jumps us.
And he's like, what park?
Does some karate.
Yeah. He's like, wait, what mini mart was this? And that's when you figure out it was in Reseda. Yeah. And
the light goes on. Daniel knows it was Johnny.
Yeah, it was Johnny.
Yeah. Meanwhile, after they leave, or after
that scene, well, pretty much after that scene, they would go back to the dojo. And this is when Miguel's cleaning the window. Says, is there any way you want me to clean this, Sensei? And he's like, I don't give a shit. And he's like, you know what? Finish that real quick, and then go clean the bathrooms, and we'll call it. And he's like, I want you to do that one on your hands and knees. And then he gets this little smirk.
Yeah. But before,
and then he's wearing headphones.
Amanda had made the comment that so what, he didn't like the fish. It's just a couple bucks of fish.
Yeah.
And do not agree with that at all. No, if you're inviting someone over,
although I would look at it more for us. After I'd be good with that too, I guess. Yeah, cool, sweet.
Yeah.
So, and then hands and knees. Then this is when Daniel goes to Cobra Kai, the dojo. This is the first confrontation in a dojo in the series, and they start talking about that maybe he's believing the wrong story and he needs to get his facts straight. And then this is when he says, get your house in order, LaRusso.
Because Daniel came in and said, leave my daughter and her friends alone.
And he said, I don't think you've got your stories. Your daughter's so-called friends were beating on a kid half their size.
Yeah.
And you need to get your facts straight. Get your house in order, LaRusso. And this is when Miguel's wearing his headphones and he goes,
is
everything okay, Sensei?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, whatever he's telling you, kid, don't believe it and get out while you can and all this other stuff. And the whole get your house in order and everything else. And
Daniel walks out, gets in his car.
No, he goes, Daniel says something to him and he goes, I'm right here, man. I'm right here. You know where I'm at, and gives him a little smirk. And then Daniel leaves. And then at that point, Miguel says, you want me to do 20 push-ups
on my knuckles?
It's like you could. And then this is when the episode comes to an end. You see the lights shine on the headlights on Johnny, and Johnny just starts smirking, and that's how it ends. Yeah. So great second episode. It's like if I wasn't already pulled in the first one, this one would have pulled me in anyway. Just the dynamics. We're learning more about the kids, how all that's going. We got to see the school. We got to see just that. The fight at the convenience store, how much impact that had in going into the second episode too.
Well, and you see the privilege on Daniel's side and how he's so quick to protect his kids and everything. And Johnny is the person that's doing the right thing.
Yeah, he's actually he was so Daniel was the strike first, which what's the episode? Strike first. Daniel actually is the aggressor in this situation, and Johnny's actually being the voice of reason, which is Johnny's being more Miyagi-Do in this, and Daniel's being more the whole episode. Yeah. He jumps it right away on Sam, which in our opinion was the correct way anyway. But he jumps on Anthony when Anthony's, instead of being a parent, he just I'm going to throw that goddamn kid in the pool. And he's just being really aggressive in this whole episode. And it's one of those, you would think that Strike First meant more of Johnny, but in this episode, to me, it meant more of Daniel. Daniel's being like, he's so set off right from the start. It starts off with Daniel with a kick in the head, and he sees the dojo, and he's just like off balance, and it's not like him being the training that he had with Miyagi. He's being more Cobra Kai. He's being aggressive. He's jumping to conclusions. He's not thinking things through before he reacts to it. He's striking first.
Yeah.
And he's not waiting for it to come to him. He's going after it. He's the one that went to the Cobra Kai dojo and confronted, which that would be more of a Cobra Kai Johnny thing to do,
right?
To show up and do that. So it's very, very good on the title of it. And just, again, like we said, as we keep going, we're going to get more conversation outside of like how much the writers and the directors really put into these episodes, as far as like what you're seeing and hearing. You can just really talk about how, like, oh my God, like this is more of Strike First for Daniel than Johnny. And just,
right.
yeah. So is that kind of what you took from it as well? As this is more of like the Daniel being thrown off balance and really having his metal tested in it. He's had 30 years of no Cobra Kai, no karate really ish. We'll learn later that's different, but for the most part, karate's been like in the the background and the back burner, and
being more.
He's been more focused on his family and the dealership, and
from when he was a teenager.
Yeah.
He's up in the hills. Living a good life.
Living a good life. He has like 3 dealerships and everything else, which we've established too. We're not ruining anything. They talked about it in the first commercial on the TV and after Iron Eagle and all that. And,
right.
So yeah, we learn all that, and just the way the writing is, I just love it, and it just gets better and better as we go.
For sure.
So we're really looking forward to those next episodes coming up too. But just, again, thank you for bearing with us on this. We love talking this, and we'll get guests as we go. We want to get these first 2 episodes out of the way as we're working on some stuff, but we have some fun things coming up. So.
And again, don't forget, if you have any questions for us, email us at drummingupconversation@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube at Drumming Up Conversation, on X, Drum Conversing. And then, follow our YouTube, subscribe to it.
Yes.
Listen to our podcast on Spotify or Apple.
Yeah, if you can't watch it, listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and until I can figure out how to get the music on, that's where you hear the podcast song until I figure out. But I'm going to really research that the next couple of days and figure out how to get that on there.
For sure.
For Drumming Up Conversation. And we didn't do this the first time in the first episode. We are so sorry. So we'll give you a 2 tonight or today for Drumming Up Conversation. I'm Justin Wood.
I'm Andrea Wood.
No mercy, no mercy.
Drumming up conversation.